Welcome to Be Well. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Jonathan from Your Why, and I'm very grateful to be able to bring you these conversations with leaders in the field related to living mindfully. As your moderator, I come to you with over 30 years experience in mindfulness, wellness, and mental health. I encourage you to use the chat function so you can participate in our conversation. Our topic today, something we've been looking forward to, mindfulness travels, this summer's vacation. Haven't we all been anticipating this summer's vacation and what it's going to look like? Today's guest is Dr. Larry Camarada. Larry, pleasure to have you today.
Thank you. It's great to be here, Jonathan.
Dr. Camarada is a clinical psychologist specializing in mindfulness-based therapy and education. He's the director of education for Mindfulness Travels, an organization that provides educational retreats around the world with leaders in the field of mindfulness and mindful movement. Larry is also an instructor in ancient Chinese arts of Qigong and Tai Chi. He is trained in China as well as the United States. So I've promised you today that we're going to have a summer retreat, and it'll be like none other than you had before. We're going to have the opportunity to be guided into cultivating present-centered awareness, kindness, compassion, joy for ourselves and others. So with that, which is a wonderful start in terms of the anticipation of what's ahead of us, I want Larry to go ahead because this is your background as well. And often we all get very occupied with our typical routines in life. And what mindfulness does, it helps serves a particular purpose to balance some of that out. So Larry, if you'll start us off with your operating definition of mindfulness.
Yes, mindfulness is about intentionally cultivating present-centered awareness with a primary attitude of acceptance. Acceptance, basically acceptance of reality on reality's terms. That's the succinct definition. And that's a contemporary definition, I might add, that a lot of psychologists like myself are using. I like to take your listeners back to an ancient definition in one word. The ancient definition is remembering. And it's interesting, we often forget that ancient definition of remembering. And what do we remember? We remember what creates our peace, what creates our sense of satisfaction, what creates our connection to our heart, our values, and other people.
That's beautiful. I think of, there's a morning meditation that I often do in terms of following my breath, and it's a remembering or returning home to that place of peace. But I'm going to give you an opportunity to bring some of this through. But before we do, what is mindfulness travels? And when someone goes on these retreats with you,
yes,
what might they expect, and how can we get a little hit of that today?
Well, Mindfulness Travels is an educational retreat organization headed up by my wife, who is the brainchild. Linda Camarada is a registered nurse and wellness consultant. And I'm also the guest teacher often, of course. And we take people, we actually meet people in beautiful places around the world, places like Croatia, Spain, Italy, Sicily, France, Bali. And in these beautiful places, we learn about, and more importantly, practice the arts of mindfulness and mindful movement. In addition to that, we create a sense of community between the participants. We like to connect with the people who are local and really honor the local cultures and learn from the local cultures. And we take excursions into nature, into deep nature, into beautiful nature scenes that, of course, adorn the entire planet, as well as connecting again to cultural sites.
So there must be a particular method to getting us out of our typical surroundings and going to these sacred very beautiful settings to be able to kind of transcend into that space. If we were a guest on this excursion, what might we gain from that experience with you?
You know, one of the things that comes into my mind, and I've heard this from other people, is the simple, I don't want to call it a strategy so much, but the simple process of just stopping the normal, habitual routine and finding yourself in another place. I call it, a fanciful word, decontextualization, you know, removing yourself from your normal context, your normal routines and habits, placing yourself in a new environment, and then you get to see how you operate in that new environment, which is not always pleasant, you know, but can be very enlightening in terms of what you learn about yourself and how you make contact, for example, with people whom you don't know. And within 5 to 7 days, some very deep friendships can be formed.
Well, it's interesting. I just think of as we get out of our typical environment and that stimulus response. When I see this, I do that. I drive here, have my routines. But by taking us out of that, it opens us up to different layers of experience. So I know a lot of your work, Larry, relates to using the body and
Yes.
movement. And I want to give you an opportunity to bring that to us. I think you have a body-centered experience for us that you want to bring through.
Yes. So right now, what I like to do is facilitate a body-centered meditation. You know, because of our setup here, we won't be moving around, but rather we'll be using mindful awareness to connect to the body in a way that feels gentle and calming to the body. Mindfulness of the body is one of the basic foundations of mindfulness practice. And so, to the listeners, I invite you to be upright in your chair so that you have a posture of alertness right now, and your eyes may be opened and cast downward at about a 45-degree angle if you prefer to keep your eyes open. Otherwise, if you're in a safe place and you feel all right with closing your eyes, please do so. We'll be about 5 to 8 minutes here. In this moment, I invite you to pay attention to your shoulders. Just place your mind's attention into both shoulders. And if you're having trouble connecting with your shoulders, you can just slightly and slowly raise them upward to establish sensory contact. And then slowly, with awareness, move your shoulders down so that your shoulders begin to feel heavy, relaxed. Next, move your awareness into both arms. If your arms are set upon your lap or chair, allow your arms to let go into gravity so that they also feel heavy, relaxed. Notice any point of contact with the arms or hands and fingers, with your lap or chair. And now move your awareness down to the center of your chest. Breathe from that point as if you were softening the center of your body with each and every breath you take. Softening, relaxing. And then move your awareness down to your belly. Notice the ebb and flow, the rising and falling of the belly as you inhale and exhale the breath. Don't try to breathe in any particular way. Just allow the breath to breathe you without trying to control it. Do allow your belly to be soft. And that softness is a sign of your relaxation. And then move your awareness to your lower back, opposite your belly. Just notice any sensations at the lower back. And let the lower back be heavy, soft, relaxed. And then move your awareness into both hips, both hips. See if you can just yield to gravity through the hips so that there's a bit more ease through both hips. And then from the hips, move your awareness into both legs. Just as with your arms, allow both legs as you're sitting down. Allow both legs to yield to gravity so that if there's any holding, the legs let go into a sense of heaviness, supported by your feet below. And now expand your awareness so that it includes your entire body. So awareness from the bottom of both feet to the top of your head. Not doing anything, just giving yourself a moment to simply be inhabiting your body with awareness, without trying to get anywhere, even without trying to be relaxed. If your mind goes away or is distracted, know that's normal. And you can just return your mind back to the body and the breath. Let's sit like this for just a few breaths, and then I will ring a bell to conclude this meditation. Hearing the sound of the bell, go ahead and transition. If your eyes have been closed, please open them, and otherwise just reorient your mind and body into the space before you.
Thank you, Larry. I'd say one of the wonderful benefits of me having this opportunity to facilitate Be Well is to have experiences like this, rich, deep, and restorative. So I greatly appreciate that. I recognize that a lot of your mindfulness travels around the world are set into nature, as you've said before.
Yes.
What can you offer us in terms of how we can be in nature mindfully, whether hiking, walking, sitting?
Yes. Yes, nature provides an opportunity to move out of our analytic mind, which has a place, of course, but we move out of our analytic mind and move into our senses. So nature provides a wonderful setting for us to practice sensory-based mindfulness. By that I mean, sure, smelling the flowers, but also feeling the touch of the sun's rays upon the skin, and being able to hear the sounds of birds overhead, but without the categorical conceptual mind of thinking, what kind of bird is that? And is this truly their habitat, etc.? I mean, there might be a place and time for that. But when we bring our mindfulness practice to nature, we drop that kind of analysis and we move purely into the realm of the senses, which can be very, very liberating, because I would say most of us, certainly many of us, live up here, planning, thinking, remembering, figuring out, controlling, striving, and mindfulness practice is not that.
I love what you're sharing there, and it's a helpful guide, so to speak, because for me, bird song takes me deeply into that space of just being present.
Yeah,
And yet, if I go into, well, I wonder if that's a seagull or if that's a crow,
yes.
it would stop it, it concretizes it. So what you're sharing is really just to be with the experience without words and thoughts, but just be in that sensory experience.
That's right. That's right. And I know it's easier said than done, because that's why we call it a practice. But when the mind gets active, just let it be. Let it be the mind. You don't have to control it. You don't even have to let go of those distractions. But the primary invitation or instruction is to remember to return. Return to the senses, return to the body.
Thank you. I think of routines and habits, and I think of mindfulness. You use a concept in your work called habituation,
Yes.
and I want to give you an opportunity to share about that concept.
Yes, in perceptual psychology, habituation refers to when we are face to face with a constant stimulus, like a noise, let's say an overhead fan, we grow perceptually blind to that noise. Well, I liked playing with that word in some writing and thinking about this concept. And what I concluded is that we can grow blind and really not sensitive to our habitual ways of thinking, talking, acting, relating to other people. And mindfulness can sometimes break the trance of those habitual patterns, because we then get to be aware of how the mind operates, which is often the basis for how we speak to others, how we act and relate to others.
You also make a wonderful contrast with vacation versus inhabitating. And
Yes,
so
yes.
share a little, if you will.
Well, yeah, a lot of folks strive to go on vacation, and I was once playing with this word vacation, and what I concluded is that mindfulness is best framed as, if not a retreat, an inhabitation instead of a vacation. Because when we vacate, think about what vacancy really means. We're just gone. We might be oblivious in some ways, or we're doing something uproarious to distract ourselves, whereby inhabiting our body, our mind, with presence, with openness, with acceptance, actually creates space from the inside, so that we can be anywhere and inhabit with joy, with awareness, with acceptance when we practice. When we practice.
I know you have a number of musings with words, and you speak to the whole idea of as we age and whatnot, retiring or retreating versus
Yes,
advancing. Um,
yes.
share
Well, I also played with the word retirement. This is a way of bringing mindfulness to every part of your life, bringing mindfulness to how I use my words and how some of my friends actually accuse me of being retired. And in fact, I'm not retired in the conventional sense, but I'm doing work in a different way now than I used to do. And so I'm thinking maybe we could think of retirement as advancing, or I know some people have used the word instead of retirement, refirement, or maybe even rewirement. It's just a different way of approaching your life because retirement, yes, I understand people, work 20 years and they get the gold watch or whatever that is. That's no problem. But also, retirement can sound or feel like disengaging from life. And so, in that way, retirement never commences. We're always engaging to the degree we're taking our breath.
I like the concept of rewirement. I had been trained on that a little. There's Dr. Laurie Santos with Yale and the
Yes,
Happiness Project. And part of the experience is to have these rewirements that you practice for a week to actually rewire. And it's
exactly.
amazing attention to it, how it helps kind of rewire and open up and kind of create curiosity because you see it from a fresh perspective. Um,
Absolutely.
so,
Just that process of attention can rewire.
so self-inquiry is part of your practice on your retreat. So what's the role of self-inquiry with
Well,
mindfulness?
yeah, in mindfulness practice, we don't try to change our thoughts. We don't argue with our thoughts. We don't try to replace a negative thought with a positive thought. But sometimes we might contemplate and ask some self-oriented questions of our thoughts. Like, for example, the wise woman Byron Katie often uses this very simple question: is it true? So
Um,
asking yourself, is it true? Is it so? How do you really know that's true? These kinds of self inquiring questions can help us, again, break that spell of habituation. Now, we're constantly judging and categorizing and sharing beliefs that may or may not be true, may or may not be healthy. And we do this automatically. It's a very human thing. I do it, we all do it. And most of us are not saints. So we practice so that also we can be kinder. And kindness is in both directions. Kindness to ourselves also breeds kindness towards other people. So often, the words and the thoughts that harm us are unkind, disparaging, self-critical thoughts, and mindfulness practice can help us to question those thoughts and drop them. So, in other words, rather than changing them, just drop them or focus on what's really true and valuable for you.
thank you. That you've teed it up pretty well. I know you and I talked about a particular meditation related to kindness,
Yes,
and we have 4 or 5 minutes if you're able to facilitate that.
that's wonderful. I'm going to ask your listeners to again sit up, if you will. And this time we are going to make contact with the body like so. If this works for you, place your left hand over the center of your chest, or whatever hand, it doesn't matter. And then the other hand over that hand, cradling the center of your chest, sometimes called the heart center in some traditions. And you may close your eyes if you'd rather keep them open. That's fine too. I'm going to repeat several brief statements, and the invitation for you is to silently repeat these statements while being connected towards your own tender heart. And now we'll begin. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease. Once again, with renewed energy to really feel the meaning of these words for you. May I be safe. May I be peaceful. May I be well in body and mind. May I be at ease. And now, before we conclude, if you wish, experiment with maintaining a slight half smile on your face. Not to change how you're feeling, but to rather embody a friendly relationship to all experience. And let the energy of that smile touch your heart. Notice what happens when you do that openly, without judgment. And now, hearing the sound of the bell to conclude the meditation. Withdraw your hands and just notice the state of your mind and body. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. These are experiences that will expand. I appreciate that. I've written down a couple of things, words. Remembering,
Yes.
stopping.
Yes.
Is it true? And so in concluding, any encouragement for the road ahead on our travel?
Yes, for everyone to have faith that if you practice mindfulness, you can create the conditions for a joyful mind that's aware and that has the potential for greater ease as well. And so, the advice for the road really is to practice. And practice can take many forms. It doesn't have to be seated practice in traditional mindfulness meditation. It can be bringing the full gravity of your attention and awareness to washing the dishes, or taking a walk, or petting your dog, or having a conversation with a friend or partner. So practice can occur during every waking moment when you remember to bring your mind back to the present.
Larry, thank you for offering yourself to me and to our guests today. Wonderful, wonderful sharing. Thank you for being with us. We'll reconnect again. All of you that were able to be a part of this experience, thank you for joining us. And until we meet again next week, please be well. Thank you.
Thank you. My pleasure to you and your listeners. Thank you.
Thank you, Larry. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.